Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas. And today I'm going to do a free class using the Unbounded Beauty Suite out of the new 2024-2025 annual catalog. So before we begin, let me thank those of you that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you so much for your support. And if you're new to my channel, or maybe you have seen me before but have yet to subscribe, I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you do so, let me know where you're tuning in from. I find that quite interesting. Before we get started, let me switch to hands down and share some information with you, some business real quick. Okay, this is the two bundles that are a part of that suite. But before we begin, let me share, hot off the press lately, is the new quarter of Paper Pumpkin products. Those of you that have subscribed to my channel, you know I usually come to you with Paper Pumpkin alternatives. I'm trying to add in every once in a while a bundle class, and some of you have said they appreciate that, so thank you so much for letting me know you're looking forward to those. But anyway, this is the next quarters, and July's is going to be a beauty, I believe. So if you do not have a demonstrator and you would love to start getting paper pumpkins, there is a link in the video description of this video of how you can subscribe using myself as your demonstrator. And then in the bottom left-hand corner, there is a link to my online store. And if you go under specials, there is also a link of how you can also start getting your paper pumpkin kits. So also I want to point out that going on now until the end of the month, all bundles that have dies, so not the ones with punches, but the ones that have dies like these here, are an additional 10% off. So if you're not aware, bundles, when they first come out, there's a stamp set and dies, and you get 10% savings on those. But for this, until the remainder of June, these will be an additional 10% off. So a great time for me to bring this class to you. Let me get the annual catalog and show you where those are if you like to find them in the catalog. So on page 54 shows these two bundles. The page before this gives some examples of ones that they have done. And this is the 2024-2025 Stampin' Up! Annual Catalog. And so, like I said, today we're going to be, I'm going to be doing a class for you using these bundles and the Designer Series paper. So here's the bundle. I guess I can rattle those off to you real quick. If you're interested in the Flowers of Beauty bundle, the item number is 163376, and the Unbounded Love is 163384. So I do have a June host code for this month that is still going on. So if you do not have a demonstrator, I would really appreciate your support using that host code with your purchases. And any purchase of $75 or more, you will receive a special gift from me. So let's get started. Now this is going to be one of two parts because I don't want to take too much of your time in one day. So I'm going to be sharing with you 3 cards today. All right, so we're going to start with the peach one. All the others are of a different color. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 piece of peach pie, a thick white card base. Okay, you're going to need, now I tried to keep it all of the same bundle dies. However, I did want to bring in this. This is the Countryside Corners dies. Okay, and then the piece of DSP we're going to use is one of this peach, which this is the background of it. And then the other cardstock has this on one side and this on the other. And I thought these two went really well together. So there's those pieces. And then we're going to bring in some of the dies. I have a piece of ribbon. And then we're going to be making a die cut with this. I have it kind of pre-prepared, but I'm going to show you what I do so this video doesn't take quite so long. Now I have thought about making this a class to go kit as well, where you would receive the items here minus the card bases and envelopes. So if that's something you would be interested in, it would be new for me, and I want to see how that would go if you're interested in that. So let me know. You would, like I said, I would bundle up all the ingredients needed, including this die cut, all the other things that you die cut with this suite. You would get the cardstock to die cut that yourself. So I need to also get a piece here for my die cut. So these are the dies, and I wanted to kind of decorate this one using, I'll show you, this interesting stamp right here. This is a two-step stamp where this does the solid and this does the center of it. So I have that lined up in my Stamparatus behind me. So let me grab that, because this is the hardest part of this card. Now I pre-die cut these little notches with this, you know, the detail die that comes. I have it back here because I have another one set for the next card. Okay, and the most important thing is kind of leave it in there, and then that way when you go to put them in, you know where these little ones go. Those are the hardest ones to know. But if you've seen my other videos, you know this is how I kind of do my stamps. I put the stamp in there somewhere, I stamp it on my deluxe grid mat, and then I line up the negative to where it's going to stamp. So that's what we're going to do. But to give this kind of a two-tone with the same color, I have my new Peach Pie, which is a new in color for the next 2 years, and I have a sponge dauber. So I want a light coating of ink, and let me see if I have some ink on here already. Get in this. I'm just pouncing some ink of Peach Pie, a very light coat. I'm trying to make sure each one is done, and then I'm going to press and give that a second for the ink to absorb into the paper. Now when I pick this up, some are going to come out, and that's okay. Well, okay, that one came out. Okay, and then I'm going to stick it back in this side, trying to remember about how it goes. These little ones are the hardest ones. It doesn't matter if you get them exact, just somewhere in there. I try to remember which way they go, but it's hard to tell because they don't have a real distinctive shape like these others. Okay, so like I said, this is the hardest part of this card. All right, and now we're going to ink up with a little heavier ink. So I'm going to go straight to the pad for the centers. That way I get a two-tone type look. Now I generally like to use a spot when I use my Stamparatus, but I haven't made one yet, an ink spot. And so let's stamp that on there. And that turned out really well. So you're going to have all these little flowers. All right, so just once you can getting them out is also the hardest part as well. Now you could also try the, you know, stamp and then line it up and die cut it. I just don't have a lot of luck with that, and even though this is kind of fussy, it works best for me. So as we always like to say in my classes, you do you and I'll do me. This is one that my method maybe is a little harder, but it works for me. So let me set this aside and get all my little flowers out there. And I'll bring this back when we do our next card. So I want to leave those together. Okay, I have my mini die cut and emboss machine. And I also forgot to tell you that during June, they are offering 10% off both the mini machine and the regular size machine. Now, if you don't have one and it's in your budget, I recommend getting the bigger one. That way you're not limited as far as embossing folders and dies of which ones you can do. For this class, you pretty much could use the mini, but there is some embossing folders that would not work through here. So like I said, if it's in your budget, I recommend you getting the large one versus the mini one. Okay, so I need to get a piece of paper, a piece of white cardstock, and I have my cardstock back here just to help me keep it handy for when I need things. I might have to cut that if I want to get the little one through, through the little one. Let's see if that's not going to work either. This is the only piece I didn't have prepped, but we'll just cut it. So I want to use this die. Now you can go straight from summer. I'm losing my new color, but hold on, it's called Summer Splash. But I'm going to use white for this card, this die, and then I'm going to color it with a sponge. So let me get this cut to size. If this was my big machine, I could run it right through. Okay, so there I have a piece of white cardstock that's going to fit this die. And then I need my mini plates, which are back here. Now, they say it's best, I'm going to close up my peach so I don't get peach all over everything. It's best if you stagger these plates when you're putting them in. And what they mean by that is you put these even, then kind of set this one off. That on the mini machine, that helps it go through better. And it helps it catch on the wheels. I've had a lot of luck with mine, and I don't have a lot of problems. Okay, let's hope that didn't need to be run backwards. Okay, looks like I have a good die. So in the card class to go, you would receive a piece of cardstock, something like that, so that you could cut your own. Okay, and I'll pluck all the little pieces out later to save some time. Okay, so next you're going to want to get something, either a silicone mat or like a laminated piece of grid paper, or coming new is the Stampin' Up! Glass mat. So I'm going to grab that real quick just because it makes it so smooth running the ink. I'm super excited. They finally announced this is going to be available to customers starting in, I believe, August. So this is the Stampin' Up! Glass mat. It also comes with a cloth and a little thing that'll hold ink and so forth and so on. This is what I use most often. So I'm going to get my Summer Splash ink. And I have one kind of dedicated to that color, a blending brush, and I'm gonna do this in my hand, not the table, so I hopefully don't ruin it. Make the camera move. Okay, so I start off on my glass mat just to get the ink kind of smoothed out, and then you can come along and do your die. Now, sometimes it helps to do your paper first and then do the die. I kind of got ahead of myself and already cut it out. So I'm going to do my best just to color it as is. I won't be able to swirl as much because I'm likely to break the die. But here's how you can always make it work, right? Okay, let's see that. Yeah, I want it a little darker. Just in some places, it wasn't very dark at all. There we go. Okay, and the beauty of the glass mat is your ink is still here, so you could use it if you had another one to use. If you don't, you can just squirt it with some water. It does have its own cleaning cloth. I generally just use a paper towel. I don't know, just because I have those handy in my craft room. So that is how we're going to make our own leaves. So this is my favorite way of, if you don't have the cardstock, you can always make it with the ink and the blending brushes. So let me set this back down, because I know it glares, or I would leave it up here the whole time because it's a great working surface. All right, so we have our leaf. Let's get back to the card. So like I said, if I do a card class to go, they won't include the card bases. You can make those yourself with some thick white paper and buy your own envelopes. It just helps keep the cost down of me having to ship all that. It would it'd be less shipping all these other little components. So let's not adhere this first because we're going to add some ribbon, but let's put the DSP on there. How did I lose my other piece of DSP? You know, something always happens. You know what? I have actually started one of these earlier because I needed to restart my video. So I'm going to go with this one here that I've already done. So you would glue both of these to this, and you know what, that paper is going to show up soon, I'm sure. And then I did get it out. And then you would take your ribbon, wrap it around here, and adhere to the back. Okay, now I like to also put adhesive here that just keeps the ribbon steady. So think of that when you're working with your card. And now we're going to decorate this piece. This again comes from the Countryside Corners dies, and I wanted to add a little splash of color to this. So I have a blending brush dedicated to peach. I have all my colors here, by the way, that would go with all the cards as I was prepping for this class. All right, so again, I'm going to ink it up. I guess I should have left my glass mat up. I think I can go directly to the paper here because most of it's going to get covered up. Now you want to go kind of diagonal like this because that's where we're going to put our leaf that we colored here. So just something, and then you can put it there and see how you like it. I want to fill it out a little more out this direction and maybe here, but leave this part blank because that's where we're going to put our sentiment. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment while we're at it. Let me get the mini machine out of the way. Bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. And let's just go in this kit. There's a nice little hello as part of this bundle, and I've cleaned mine, so let me make sure it's dry. Hopefully I don't get a fuzzy on it. Let me just run it on my chamois there. All right, now I want to use Memento Black, Tuxedo Black ink for this sentiment, just to make it a little more classic, to help the sentiment stand out. All right, so let's just put it something right there. And that looks pretty good. Not my best, but it's handmade, right? So when it's not perfect, at least they know it's handmade. All right, let's get out now my silicone mat so I can put glue on this. Now, it would be best to use the adhesive sheets to cut these out. But on big ones like this, I find there's enough area to where I can put little dots of glue. And this is the Tombow multi-purpose glue that's in what I call my favorite things. If you are brand new to my channel, what my favorite things are items that I add to my craft room that Stampin' Up! Does not sell, that help me stay organized. And so if you've watched me over and over, you know I mention this, but I have to assume there's always someone new. I am an Amazon affiliate, so I have links in the video description of this video and all my others of how you can purchase these products. That includes, like, these are 5x7 envelopes. I have the larger ones which hold card bases, and they're great for organizing your paper pumpkin supplies. Anyway, when you use the links to purchase these products, I get a few pennies back at no cost to you, and just for recommending the products. So that's the spill of that. So if you've used those, thank you. And if you plan to use them, thank you so much. Now I'm adding dimensionals to the back of this. Again, I do cut them in half just of the large ones. The mini ones I do not. I find that half is plenty, and I put plenty on there to help them stay. Okay, so just add this somewhere where make sure your stem is not going to hang off, and side and top. Now, if you have a little adhesive there, you can use a glue eraser, and I hope I didn't get that in the peach. I didn't close it. That's why I have to close these every time because I get ink everywhere. So this I've had for years and years, and you can kind of gently go and pick up adhesive. But I know I have these little flowers to attach, so I'm going to do them strategically around the leaf where maybe it's going to cover up that glue. So let's start adhering. If I had used an adhesive sheet, they wouldn't show. So let's just add some little flowers to our bush. I think I pre-did some, that's why I kind of have, it looks like some extra. So if you're going to make some, just make several while you're there, and then you won't have to do this fussy little bit again. So I have one left over, but I think that's plenty for my flower. So I'll just set that aside and use it on another card. All right, and also if you are interested in the class to go, I will include a whole pack of the gems that I'm going to use, and that would be these, the 2024-2026 in color shimmer gems. So they're right here, and I will add more to this later just to help with time. I'm going to show you the card, and you can see what a difference those gems make on a card. My lighting's not really great, is it? So here's the gems, here's without the gems. So they really help just dress up your card a lot. So this is card, I don't know why that's so glary. My lighting is terrible right now. Okay, I'll work on that for my second half video. So let's put all this up and get out our second one. Try to not let my supplies fall all over. I had one done just in case, but I didn't mess that one up. Okay, so here is the second card. I really like this one a lot. So for this, you're going to need a piece of Berry Burst. And then I'm going to set that over there. You're going to need, obviously, a thick white card base. And then we're going to use this Designer Series paper, piece of that. And this would also, we're going to use another one from the Countryside Corners. And then I have some Summer Splash ribbon in here. So I think that's the gist of it. Now, we're going to make one of these leaves, and this comes from this stamp right here. It's a two-step stamp, and I lined them up in my Stamparatus to make that. So let me we'll cut another piece and we'll make one. I still have this piece left. And let me find the die for that one. Here it is. Got all kinds of dies and stamps to my side. So it's this die right here. I'm going to have to put them all back on there. By the way, if you haven't seen how I keep them organized, I do these 30 mil magnets, which are part of my favorite things. And when I first get them in, I slap them in my copy machine to make a copy so that when I go and finish cards, I can count, make sure they're all there. And if they're not, I can look at that picture to see which ones are missing. All right, so let's go with this again. And my top plate. Here's our die cut, and I can set this now to the side again. Okay, so this is where it really helps a lot to have them pre-lined in a stamp positioning tool. Now this is the Stamparatus that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. They're no longer able to sell it from some legal issues, but there is another on the market called the Misty, and I have it in my favorite things too, even though this one was my favorite, but you can't get it anymore. So I like to offer a solution for those of you that maybe missed out on that. So let's start with Summer Splash ink. I need to make spots for these because it's a lot easier to use a spot in your stamp positioning tools, but I separated these enough to where that would hopefully work. I think I got it all inked. And let's smash that to help the ink get into that. Okay, so that was Summer Splash, and it's one of our new in colors. Okay, so now we're going to move it to this one that I have lined up. And this one, it takes a little bit of time. I actually was surprised I got it perfect. I hope it still is, to where these stems line up. And then I'm going to take Pretty Peacock, and I realize I try to stay zoomed in enough where you can see well, but it gives me a small working area, so I have to move things around. All right, so I'm inking this one up with Pretty Peacock, and this I was pleasantly pleased with when I finished. I thought it was so pretty color combination. Isn't that stunning? I love it. And you can see it changes color a little bit when it dries. This one I may have got a little more ink on, but anyway, I just think that's pretty. I love this leaf and the detail that it gives. All right, so let's get this out of the way. Now you could stamp that right on your label if you wanted to. I just like the detail of it as an additional die cut. So here is this piece of designer series paper, and this is the back. And I thought it would be best to trim it and then flip one side so that you had a contrast there. So I'm going to get my trimmer back out. And it doesn't really matter the amount. Let's see what 1.5 looks like. That looks pretty good. That's the score blade. No, that's the cut blade. Oh, hope I didn't do that crooked because I stopped. Looks good. Okay, so then we're going to flip this one like that. And we're going to adhere that to our berry burst layer here. So you get my Tombow multi-purpose glue again. I love this designer series paper. I love both sides of it. It has such pretty colors to go with our end colors. Then we're going to do this piece. Now, if your cutter is like mine, and sometimes it has a little lip on it, I just kind of take my nails. You could use your bone folder to fold it back down. But I'm going to put it on this side where we're going to cover it up with ribbon anyway. So that won't be a big deal. Okay, and now we're going to take our Summer Splash ribbon. Now, I still have this old 3M, and I have a bunch of adhesive, so I've got to use it until it's gone. I like to bring in my silicone mat for this part because there's adhesive there, and if I put it there, then it won't get all over my workstation. The glass mat is great too because you can do that with your glass mat. And it won't stick too bad. All right, so let's add the ribbon. I do like to set it here with my grid sheet. If you had your glass mat, you could do that as well and get those lined up. That way you know your ribbon is going to go straight. Okay, and then I just pick it up and tuck it under. Okay, and if you're afraid that's going to come loose, you could put some tearing tape over the top, but I know my adhesive is really sticky, so I think I'm good with that. Now we can adhere this to our card front base. If you've made your own, well, even if you haven't made your own, feel for which side may be a hair bigger, and that's going to be your top of your card base. You can make those by getting thick white cardstock. You score it at 4 1/4 long ways, and then cut it in half at 5 1/2. All right, so there that is, and now we're going to decorate this one. So I have 2 leaves here because I had one pre-made, and let's add a sentiment. Another nice sentiment that's in this set is "You're a true blessing." So I'm going to do that on this side, but I think I'm going to use Summer Splash this time versus black. You can also use your silicone mat like a Stampin' Pierce mat. So just put this in the corner somewhere. 1, 2, 3 is what I kind of do. Count to 3 and pick up. Okay, and now we need to make little flowers for our leaf again. So we get to do this again. All right, I have my Stamparatus. I have them cut. Cut this with my big one. All right, and then let's see, how can I get this in the camera? That's pretty good for now. I take my die up, and if some come with it, I kind of line it up and go, don't be wet though, where I cleaned it. Poke that one down for sure because it has a direction. And so that way I get it in there going the right direction. Those are the hardest ones. Oh, don't stick to my finger. And then this one is going to go in like that. That one's a little easier. It has a little hump. Again, you could stamp them and then die cut them. I just find this is easier for me. This one's the fussiest one. The others work much better. Okay, so I can get this out of the way. Don't lose my die. I found the designer series paper. It's stuck to the back of that mat. Okay, let's do our stamping now. This one I'm going to use Petunia Pop. Okay, this pretty color right here. I love this little color. And I'm going to use a sponge dauber to do this. Let me see how inky it is on my scrap paper here. All right, this is the one that turns your stamp pink. But that's okay. It shows you loved them and used them. It doesn't damage your photopolymer stamps. Okay, and let's stamp that down. Just a light color, and that's how I use the sponge dauber to get it a shade lighter. Okay, and now we move all these little gems to the other side. So I know some of you are going to be like, I'm not doing that, but that's okay. You do it how it works best for you. Okay, and now for the detail, I'm going to go straight from the ink pad and then close it. And close this so I don't get Petunia Pop all over me. Okay. And there we go. And then I find if you take your Stampin' Mist and clean them right away, they won't turn a hot, hot, hot pink like some of my older stamps were before I did that. I also always use Versamark the first couple times I use them, and I don't know if that helps as well too. But you can see that's not real stained. Okay, so we have pretty little flowers here. Let's get all of those out. I tried doing the just stamp it and then die cut it later, and I always got one off where it wasn't quite as centered, and that drives me nuts. So even though this was a little fussy, it worked best for me. Okay. Now we can go back to our card. And get our countryside label. I'm going to adhere this on to here first. Now this one you don't necessarily have to use adhesive sheet because it has quite big spots where you can add adhesive dots. You also use glue dots. I didn't like that. Okay, and now let's add the pretty little flowers. This one I think is my favorite, if I had to pick a favorite of all the cards. I just love the colors of this one. And again, when you get to where you think that's enough flowers, you can stop. Let's add this little one somewhere here, maybe. Okay, and I'm going to save that one for another card. I always lose this little cap. All right, so now we can just pop that up with dimensionals again, like I do most of my decorative pieces. Oops. Now I hope to make a PDF as well of these cards, and if you use the host code and get this set, choosing myself as your demonstrator, I will send the PDF when I make it, if I make it. But you know, cards are really, the PDFs are harder than the videos for me. So I always tell people, if you get a PDF for Paper Pumpkin, but refer to the videos, because it's hard to write those PDFs in my opinion. Okay, let's set that. Do I want it more over here? I think I want it a little over the other side. Okay, so this is card number 2, and here's the one I did ahead of time. And oh, I see what I did different, but you can do whatever you want. I put these on dimensionals, which I quite like. This one I did not, and look what a difference it makes to add the gems. So I like to show with and without, just so you can see a difference that those little gems make. So this is card number 2. We put all its goodies away. And then we'll do one more card today. And like I said, I will have another video showing the other 3. I think this one's not going to be as fussy as those little flowers. Okay, for this one, you're going to need Pretty in Pink. Now, I have pre-embossed this with some new embossing folders, and it's called Fun Patterns. There are 2 smaller size dies to this set, and one is this little pattern I have here. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then the other is this pattern that I used with the May Paper Pumpkin kits. So if I do a card to go kit for you, I will pre-emboss that, since that's not part of the suite if you purchase this suite using myself. Okay, and then you'll get a little strip to cut some flowers. Now this is retired ribbon, but I would include that as well. I still have plenty of that. I pre-done another leaf. Now you would just get some white paper to do that, like this. And then I brought in one of my favorite new dies. This is the Spotlight on Nature dies. I believe these are out of stock right now, but they are expected back in before the end of the month. It's the estimated date, so hopefully they'll be in and you'll be able to grab these at 10% off, as well as a bundle with its stamp set. But again, if I do a card to go class, I will pre-die cut this because it's not part of the suite. I already showed you how to stamp that, so we don't really need to stamp another one. Now this is where I'm going to use this designer series paper. It has this on the other side. Both sides are so pretty, and it's just hard to pick which one is your favorite. All right, there's this die cut, which you'd receive some paper for, and this is one of the dies in the Unbounded Love set. All right, I have all the little pieces in here, and then some detailed leaves from that set. Here's a flower, although that one's in Petunia Pop. Maybe I switched up the envelopes. Okay, and then we're going to create some flowers. I already have one done, so I just need one, but in case I mess up, I cut several. So like I said, you would receive some little pieces like this to make your own leaves and flowers. And then we're going to need some stamped leaves, which I need another one, but we'll deal with that later. Also, a thick white card base was not in my, yes it was. I set it aside already. All right, so let's get started by adding our DSP to this piece of Pretty in Pink. I love this color that it came back. It's a great pink. I know our other, which is it, Petal Pink, kind of looks peachy. And of course, Melon Mambo is a real hot pink. So it was nice to have this pink come back. Now I did go look at your flower. So this one kind of goes this way and this one goes this way. Let's see which way we like it best. I think the darker flower up. Okay, and then let's add this ribbon. I'm going to do the same. This was a Pretty in Peacock ribbon that I had in my stash. So I wanted a contrast of color. I guess you could use the Summer Splash one if you were doing your own current supplies. I just like the contrast of this darker ribbon, so that's why I did it. I kind of did this a little different, didn't I? That's what you can do if you don't have a silicone mat. Do one side first. Okay, and now we can put this on our thick white card base. Oh, I'm glad this side is the bigger side. It has a little something on it. So what do you guys think of these cards? If you like that I'm doing bundle classes, let me know. If you don't, you probably didn't make it this far in the video yet. So, okay, let's put that on there in the center. Okay, now time to have fun decorating our circle. So I'm going to want this here. And I made this one a little fussy. Let's put the white there and there. And you know what you can do if you're going to put stuff over it is use tape, but some people don't like that. So I'm just going to use my multi-purpose glue and start building. Okay, now I've done one flower. I have some this and I need some leaves. And I think I have a pre-done little flower somewhere. If not, I'll just stamp another one. All right, let's get the Stamparatus back out. Set this to the side. Again, this is Petunia Pop. This is Berry Burst. So I had the wrong strip in there. Oh, wrong Stamparatus. Okay. Now for these flowers and leaves, I'm going to use the same technique I used with those other fussy little flowers, where I first ink it with a sponge dauber. So I have pink here, and I like to use the Pretty in Pink for this big flower. Let's see how inky it is. It looks pretty inky. So let's see what we get. It's really hard to see this, and unless you, when I first did it, I was like, oh, that's not going to show up at all. But let's see what happens. That's actually great. All right, and then come in with full detail with the detail one. Might get ink all over the hinge. 1, 2, 3. And that is a fabulous flower. So, oh, I do one more thing that I forgot. I stick that in there, and then I have the Berry Burst ribbon, and actually that's why I have Berry Burst instead of Petunia Pop, because I wanted to do, I just take the marker and color in. Now, if you don't have the markers, you could just take like a sponge dauber and do the center of that and then stamp. So there's another flower. Let me clean that off. And we can do our leaf. I put him in there already. So he's stuck all over. And let's see. So for this one, I want to use Summer Splash for the fill-in. And I have a sponge dauber for that. Oops. Well, it won't matter. The next color is so much darker. It's gonna not matter as much. And I really hope I find another one really quick. I'm gonna steal from my next set if I can remake some of those before I do my next video. All right, let's do another one with that side. I might want it a little darker. Okay, and now I can close this up. Okay, and then I have the matte or the detail part on the other side of my plate, if I can get that out of there. Anybody else have that problem sometimes? Okay, straight up to take it out, put it down. And then I'm going to use Pretty Peacock like we did on our other larger leaves. Oops, stick it in the hole. I guess I didn't have to take it out. That last one. I love the combination of these two colors. I could use my take your pick tool, I guess. I'm trying to rush along so to get this done in under an hour. Whoops, I missed some of it. Oh, I have a Stampin' Dimensional on the, stuck to the stamp. All right, there we go. All right, I am going to give this one a little spray of cleaner. And I get the first part off with my paper towel. All right, and then can go over it with my chamois. Okay, I have everything but a little flower, don't I? We'll steal from something else. Okay, so then just start building your flower scene like you like it. I like that one there. They do kind of change color when they dry. So this one I had done a while back. This was the new one. It does get a little lighter in color. And then let's have this over here. I kind of just lay it out first like I like it. And then we'll have a little flower there. I'm looking real quick for my little flower. Let's see if I have one to seal. Here it is. I have a little extra bucket of goodies of pre-cut stuff and done. So I did the flower, this little flower, the same way I did the big flower. And I just added the ink directly on the center of that stamp to stamp it, even though it's not really, has little, whatever that's called. Okay, I like that look. So let's start adhering this stuff from the bottom down. I didn't set my glue right side up. Okay, there. Come on, little glue. Obviously, I need to refill that there. And this one, my little flower is going to help hold that one down, but I did want to put a little bit of adhesive on that. And let's go big flower. And I wrote on the back, inked with a sponge dauber, so I could remember the technique that I used on that one, because I was playing with them and I was trying to figure out the best way to get that color I wanted. And that was it, to use a sponge dauber. Okay, so what do you guys think about that one? It's hard to pick a favorite. Every time I make one, I say this is my favorite. Whoops, not done drying yet. Pop that up. All right, let's get our dimensionals ready while that finishes drying, and flip that over. So, and I know my June paper pumpkin kit, it probably hasn't shipped yet, but they start shipping today. So I thought I would do this class before my kit gets in and I get all my attention going to that to make my alternatives. I really wish demonstrators could get ours first. I know that's kind of selfish of me, but then I could get started on my alternatives sooner. All right, let's put this on here in the center. Now I have this label, and this is a great label from this suite as well. And I was going to put a sentiment here. And I know I always need birthday cards, so there's also a great happy birthday in this set. So, excuse me, let's get my Stampin' Pierce mat. And I thought I would use Pretty Peacock to bring out that color in the card. Oh, and I just realized my leaf is hanging off, so it wouldn't fit in the card. Let's see if I can get it up real quick. So I mentioned that on the other ones, but I forgot to say that. So I'm just going to see if I can turn it on this last one that won't come up. Okay, better. So make note, make sure your leaves don't hang off your card so they fit in the envelope. Okay, so here's the happy birthday. And I hope I do this good because I don't have an extra label cut. Okay, I like it. It is kind of a whimsy one anyway, so I don't know that there's really a straight. You could leave it where it's more crooked. All right, and then let's do dimensionals. Cut two more. So how do you guys like these cards? The best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up, and share this video with your other paper crafting friends, and leave me a comment of what you think about them. So again, I have 3 more to share that I'll do in a part 2 for this class, online free class. And so be sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so you'll get a notification of when that goes live. So here is this one. I have one pre-done. I don't have a pre-cut little berry burst one. I do have it in petunia pop, but I really want berry burst to coordinate with that. So I'll add that later, but here is the finished one. You can see I added this little bitty flower that's in the kit, the dies in the kit, and then I've added some embellishments here and here. So what do you, fix this light. He is just there. Now I'm like shining, but but the car is not. So that's better for the car. And you can see each one's going to be a little different. I turned this one a little more this way. So that is that for that. So those are my 3. Here's the last ones. And again, if you do not have a demonstrator, I'd really appreciate your support. Use this host code if you're interested in doing this class. And again, let me know if you would like to do a class to go kit, and I can add that to my Etsy shop where you get everything, the card stock anyway, but not the card bases or the envelopes and stuff that's not in this bundle. When you use this host code to purchase it, I will include these die cuts to help you do the cards like I've shown here. So let me switch back to me. Well, I wasn't me. Okay, here I am. So I hope you've enjoyed this class. Thanks again for watching. I hope you made it all the way through. And don't forget the special goes from now until June 30th to get an additional 10% off die bundles as well as any die cut and emboss machine. So those, to my knowledge, have never been discounted. So it's a great time if you have been thinking about upgrading to the Stampin' Up! One. It's a great time to do that. And if you add just a few more products, say maybe this bundle, then you qualify for Stampin' Rewards if your merchandise total is $150 or more. So thanks for joining me again, everyone. Until my next video, I hope you have a great crafting day. All right, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. Bye-bye.